Today we're taking a look at these NHL matches, which are happening on Saturday, May 20th, 2023, and giving you our team and total picks for today. Welcome back to High Stakes. Before we dive into our video, don't forget to subscribe and to push the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos. Also check out our Patreon if you want access to our premium picks. Our Patreon is a way for us to help you improve your chances of making more money. You will find the link to our Patreon in the description and comments section below. Florida Panthers vs Carolina Hurricanes. After a slow start to the year after winning the President's Trophy last year and getting bounced from the playoffs in the second round in the Battle of Florida against their rival Lightning, the Florida Panthers really rallied in the second half of the season. They finished the regular season in the second and final wild card spot in the East with a 42-32-8 record, a point ahead of the Penguins and the Sabres. Despite closing out the regular season with 2 losses, they closed the regular season hot with a 6-1-1 record in their last 8 games. Florida has been very good offensively this season. They're averaging 3.51 goals per game, the 6th most in the NHL, on an average of 36.8 shots per game. They've generated the most expected goals, 3.8 per game, and the most high-danger shots in the league. The Panthers' power play has scored on 22.8% of their chances, the 10th best in the NHL. Matthew Tkachuk, 109 points, 69 assists, who was acquired in the offseason from the Calgary Flames and became an excellent addition to the Cats, and Carter Verhaeghe, 42 goals, led Florida in scoring this season. The Panthers have struggled on the back end, allowing an average of 3.68 goals per game this season, the 12th most in the NHL, on an average of 31.7 shots allowed per game. They've given up the 8th most expected goals, 3.42 per game, and the 3rd most high-danger shots. Their penalty kill has struggled at just 75.9%, the 10th worst in the NHL. Alex Lyon, the 3rd-string goalie to start the season for Florida, became their number 1 to start their series against the Bruins, with Sergei Bobrovsky having his struggles this year in goal, 24-23 record, 3.07 GAA, .901 save percentage, and Spencer Knight away from the team for a bulk of the season with personal issues. Lyon caught some lightning in a bottle late in the year, starting the last 8 games for Florida this season and going 6-1-1 in those games in their playoff push. He ended the regular season with a 9-4-2 record, a 2.89 GAA, a .914 save percentage, and a shutout on the year. Bobrovsky took over in that series though and dominated games down the stretch of the series to keep the Panthers alive and help them advance through the Bruins to the second round. The Panthers pulled off the biggest upset in NHL history in the first round, knocking off the greatest regular season team in NHL history in 7 games, defeating the President's Trophy winning Boston Bruins. It was an insane win. The Bruins broke the record for the best regular season in history, with the most points and most wins in league history. They dominated the regular season and even had a 3-1 series lead with several opportunities to end it, but the Panthers came back, with a little luck on their side, to knock off Boston in overtime of Game 7. After splitting the first 2 games in Boston to open the series where the Bruins played pretty lousy hockey at home, the BS won the next 2 games in Florida pretty easily, putting the Panthers on the brink of elimination. In Game 5 at home in Boston, the Bruins were by far the dominant team, outshooting Florida 47-25 and outplaying them by an expected goal rate of 4.523.86, but the Panthers still got extended the series with a fantastic performance and goal from Sergei Bobrovsky in a 4-3 overtime win for the Panthers on Matthew Tkachuk's game winner. The Hurricanes are looking to bounce back after a tough loss, but the Panthers made a statement in Game 1 and look to control the upcoming game as well. The Panthers, who scored 3 goals in Game 1, should create plenty of scoring chances with Matthew Tkachuk, Alexander Barkov, and the rest of the forward unit controlling the puck in the offensive zone and creating open shots with great passes. The Panthers, who have only allowed 4 goals in their last 2 games, should limit the Hurricanes' offense with Brandon Montour, Gustav Forsling, and the rest of the defensive unit, creating turnovers in the defensive zone, while limiting passing lanes to force direct shots on the net, allowing goaltender Sergei Bobrovsky to make plenty of big saves. The Panthers should win Game 2 and take a 2-0 series lead and provide great odds in the process as road underdogs. Take the Panthers money line as road underdogs. In their first round series against the Islanders, Carolina won Game 1 at home 2-1 inside regulation and then won Game 2 4-3 in overtime. In Game 2, the Canes outshot the Isles 36-26 but were outplayed by an expected goal rate of 2.71-2.29, with the game winner coming off a controversial no-call for high sticking. After the Canes won Games 1 and 2 at home, the Islanders poured it on in the last 4 minutes of Game 3 for the first playoff game at UBS Arena, with 4 goals in those closing minutes to win 5-1 in a game that was much closer than the score showed. the Islanders outshot Carolina 37-31 and dominated the Hurricanes by an expected goal rate of 5.162.37. The Canes answered back in Game 4 on Long Island with a huge 5-2 win on the road to take a 3-1 series lead. They dominated the Islanders by an expected goal rate of 3.672.19. The Islanders held off elimination with a 3-2 win on the road in Carolina in Game 5. The Canes outshot the Isles 36-22 and outplayed them by an expected goal rate of 3.952, but couldn't tie up the game with another great performance in goal from Ilya Sorokin. On Long Island in Game 6, the Hurricanes ended the series with a 2-1 overtime win on the road, with Paul Stastny's game winner 6 minutes in OT. They outshot the Isles 41-34 and outplayed New York by an expected goal rate of 3.962.78. The Carolina Hurricanes became the first team to advance to the conference finals this season with their dominant series win over the Devils in the second round in 5 games. And they did it without Svechnikov, Pacioretty and Teravainen in the lineup, which makes it even more impressive. In their second round series against the Devils, the Hurricanes dominated Game 1 at home, getting a 5-1 win in a game that New Jersey never stood a chance in. Carolina outshot the Devils 23-18 and outplayed Jersey by an expected goal rate of 3.972.11. Game 2 wasn't any better for the Devils, as they lost 6-1 to go down 2-0 in the series. They did play significantly better than in Game 1, but still got outshot 35-29 and outplayed by an expected goal rate of 4.022.16. The Devils made it a series with a dominant 8-4 win in Game 3, as the series shifted to New Jersey with a 4-point game for Jack Hughes, 2 goals, 2 assists. They outshot the Canes 34-30 and dominated by an expected goal rate of 4.162.66. In Game 4, Carolina bounced right back on the road, winning 6-1 with a huge 5-goal second period to take a 3-1 series lead and put themselves a game away from advancing to the Eastern Conference Finals. They outshot the Devils 29-22 and outplayed them by an expected goal rate of 2.641.52. The best game of the series was Game 5, which needed overtime, but the Hurricanes got the 3-2 win to eliminate Jersey and advance. Carolina outshot the Devils 39-29, but just slightly were outplayed by an expected goal rate of 3.623.52. The Hurricanes have been very good statistically on both ends of the ice through the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. They've scored the 4th most goals in the playoffs, averaging 3.64 goals per game on an average of 33.3 shots per game. Their power play has scored an average of 18.9% of their chances. Defensively, Carolina has been the best remaining team in the playoffs. They've allowed just an average of 2.55 goals per game, the second fewest of any teams that made the playoffs, on an average of 27.8 shots allowed per game. Their penalty kill has been elite, killing off 90% of their penalties, the best of any of the 16 teams that made the playoffs. Game 1 of this series was an incredible defensive battle, the 6th longest game in NHL history, hitting the under easily as the game went to overtime tied 2-2. These teams played the length of over 2 games with no goals getting scored for almost 4 full overtime series, with 120 total saves. I expect the games in this series to continue trending under. With the fantastic goaltending of Sergei Bobrovsky, every single game in the Panthers' second round series against the Maple Leafs stayed under. On the other side, the Hurricanes have been elite defensively in these playoffs and are the best team on the back end of the 4 remaining in the conference finals. They've allowed just an average of 2.55 goals per game, the second fewest of any teams that made the playoffs, on an average of 27.8 shots allowed per game. Their penalty kill has been elite, killing off 90% of their penalties, the best of any of the 16 teams that made the playoffs. I expect these trends to continue as these teams compete in the Eastern Conference Finals. The under has great value at 6 goals with a price of -127. Take the under 6 goals.